Welcome back, everybody, to Your Little Castle Show, show number 2, because I feel like my head is trying. So much information we had shared on show number 1. If you missed some of that discussion, check out the show. It'll be available on our YouTube, our Facebook, and we give it to our guests too. Put it on their website and do whatever we want. We want to help the small businesses share what they do, and with a really great looking interview that airs on ABC here in St. Louis. So with that, Jeff Giacomo and Lauren Nally have blown me away with the information we've gotten here, because gosh, there's so much that goes into this and you don't realize. And I've been through it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, what, I messed up with that and didn't get the whole claim done that I should have. I wish I'd have known you back then, right? Been in better shape by then. But they're here to share some of their expertise with regard to this. We only got through about half of it. I want to reiterate a little bit what we talked about as we finished up show 1, just to kind of cover some important. But what is one thing that sets the business apart? And that's a licensed public adjuster. And if you're a licensed public adjuster on staff, which is Lauren here, by the way, sitting next to me, that means you've got somebody who's certified in-house that knows how to deal with the exact costs, the exact repair values for what should be going on to make sure that that repair is done correctly. Otherwise, you're trusting there's only one other certified public adjuster, and it's usually they work for the insurance company, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So whose favor are they going to try to go with, right?
Right.
My dad would always say, who wrote the contract? Who made the rules? It's going to be in their favor. That's why you need to have that certified or licensed. Is it licensed or certified? Licensed
yes.
Public adjuster, and that's what Lauren brings to the table for J.S. and Sons Construction, because they do the whole construction job. If you have interior windows, siding, but also like water that came in, you could do the wall board, I guess.
The ceilings, drywall work.
Drywall, yeah, there we go.
Plastered.
And that's where Jeff comes in, because he has been years and years of expertise, 30 years doing this.
30 years.
Started when he was about 12 also, so young guy over here. So, all right, then tell me, this is one of my favorite questions, and while we kind of cover this, we have a pregame prep, everybody. We talk a little bit about this in between shows, before shows, in our bullpen, we call it. Same room we're sitting in right now, but have a little discussion. And that's, what's the biggest mistake most people make? And you had a great answer, because that was like, wow, that could be something that could be very expensive. Tell us, Lauren, what is the biggest mistake people make?
I think not getting your contractor involved from the beginning of your claim process when it is an insurance claim. Everyone needs to be on the same page. I think a lot of people, they don't want to get their contractor involved until after they've dealt with the insurance company and they've met with the adjuster. We want to make sure that we're involved from the get-go, because we're here to help you, the customer. We're the insurance adjusters. They do essentially work for the insurance company, you know. So you want to make sure that we are all on the same page. So when your adjuster's coming out, we want to make sure that we're at that meeting so that we can walk the property together and we can make sure that everything that's supposed to be getting covered is getting covered. Because ultimately you want your home to be back to how it was before the storm came through.
Well, how often do people try to take on the insurance company themselves, right? And that's not what they do, and they've got all the information on their side. The homeowner can't have all the information. They don't have the experience.
Right.
That's what you bring to the table.
Yes.
They're putting a lot of risk here. It's a $30,000, $50,000 repair. Better have an expert helping you.
Right. You can run into situations. There's a lot of paperwork and documentation that is required to be filed with the insurance companies. An average homeowner, they don't have that knowledge, to get all of that done, whereas our staff does. So you want to make sure that you have somebody that is knowledgeable helping you through that process to ensure you don't make any mistakes, and there is such thing as insurance fraud, and you want to make sure that you don't want to commit that, because it can mean major fines for you as a homeowner.
Wow, something else. Right. Jeff, how often do you deal with this?
Oh, well, it's often that the homeowner would like to represent herself, is how I'll say it, but that happens a lot, and they want to get a lot of bids, but sometimes we look for the best price. And that's not always the best way to go, and it's irrelevant because the insurance pays for it. So you're better off to go with the most quality contractor,
right?
The one who has the most ability to get you everything you need accomplished. So like I said, it is often that people want to represent themselves, though. It really is, and so luckily for them, we have Lauren to do that. So they just allow us to handle it. We'll do an excellent job and get them covered for as much as we can, you know. So when it comes to storm damage,
Yeah, because you don't want to miss anything. Like I say, you've heard me complain before, everybody. I had two sides of I have a 2-story house, and two sides they didn't cover that should have been covered.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that just makes me so aggravated to this day. And at some point, that's going to cost me, because if I try to sell the house, they're going to say these two sides look great, but what happened with these two sides? They look like they're 7 years older or whatever,
Right.
or they're 9 years older.
And with me, after 30 years of it, you know, honestly, there's gonna be a lot of things you probably don't even see that I'm gonna see.
Right.
And the insurance adjuster may not see that either, but we'll meet with them and we'll discuss all the things that, you know, are wrong, are damaged, and again, turn it in, and then Lauren will represent us from there and get the claims done right.
And sometimes you don't necessarily, you know, you start working on a job and then you see something else will pop up. So then that's where I can, present this to the insurance company. Okay, but we started this job and now we found this. You know, we found some water damage here, we found some mold, whatever the case is, that needs to be covered by the insurance company. And then that's where we send something in called a supplemental charge. So that it doesn't go back on the homeowner and the insurance company is taking care of it. So I think that that's important.
And say that again, I had a supplemental charge. Explain
Yeah, a
that
supplemental
little bit.
charge. So say, for example, we go in and the roof essentially, the adjuster put it down that it's 2 layers. We tear the roof off, we find a 3rd layer and it's cedar shake. That's very labor intensive to tear off. It can be messy, but it's something that it should get covered by your insurance company. It might not have been covered on that initial paperwork, but then what we will do is we will send a supplemental charge into your insurance company for that 3rd layer of cedar shake, tear off. So that way you're not paying out of pocket for it. It's getting covered under your insurance, and no worries.
So there's another important one, everybody. Supplemental charges. I had not heard that before, and that's important because, and especially a lot of the older houses in the Metro East, downtown area, St. Louis, and not as out far in the county as much, but these older houses, they have 2 or 3 layers because they just slapped an old roof, a new roof on top of the old roof. So you got multiple layers. I had some guy tell me they had 4 roofs they put on, I think, at one point, and that's not the way it should be. And if you don't discover that because it was covered up until you get to really dig in, you have to have a supplemental charge.
Right. And it is actually Illinois state law that you can only have 2 layers, and there are, other places that you can't go past 2 layers. And it's not good for your home either to put more than, 2 layers on there. So,
Jeff, is this something you see very often?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of outdated now because the insurance, they will not cover you if you have more than 2 layers. So it's not, it used to be very common though. You'd have 4 layers and have a wood shake under that maybe, and it was a horrible job. When I was way younger, we did all the work, out there, and it was just a lot of hard work. But nowadays it's really, the insurance has got it back, so it's not so tough. Still roofing. Keep in mind, if you ever picked a bundle of shingles up, it is nothing easy about it. It's still a lot of work. And I also want to mention again too, we're not just doing the storm work. We do all retail sales. We also do grants. So that's something, we work with grants. So if you have some type of government grant that you're trying to process, we can help you do that as well.
Okay. Explain that a little bit with regard to that, for like an older style house.
Yes, for older style house, or maybe for a lower income, or for elderlies. There's different areas where the state applies grants, so they can get grants from the state to help take care of their homes. And what is the one we have right now? We're just working with. Is it Hess? Let me see. I'm sorry, I don't want to speak out of turn there.
Sure. No, I get it. But yeah, these are government funded things that help to pay for the repairs on places if they're designated as historic properties, I guess.
Yeah, HISA.
Okay.
Is that what it is? HISA, I think it's how it's spelled. Yeah, we work with a lot of different companies. So
no, that's good.
No, there's there's VA, there's all sorts of different stuff, and there's paperwork that's required to get those particular grants or loans and whatnot, and we are more than happy to work with homeowners to get all of the proper paperwork filled out, provide the proper credentials, because you have to have those in order to get those grants, so that way they can get things repaired and taken care of, so the roof's not leaking or having other issues within the home. And
to reiterate, a supplemental charge might be something where water damage happened behind it, more likely. If the multi-layered roof's not as often these days, still does happen, but if there's water got run behind of the fascia, I guess that may not have been easily determined initially.
Right. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you don't
You gotta
see
go
it
back and
until
take
you
care of
tear
it.
into the project, and then we inspect for mold and all of that stuff, because mold can make you very sick if it's in
Right.
your in your walls and your ceilings. So we want to ensure that it's properly taken care of.
Okay. Wow. All right, everybody. We're getting into some important stuff here. Take note of this show, everybody. This has been some valuable information here, and we want to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes like yours truly has made, because I had my buddy and we were taking care and it was going to get done, and it just didn't work out well for me ultimately when it came down to it. So don't cut corners. My dad would say cutting corners can get very expensive. Shortcuts can become very expensive.
That is true.
That is true. Jeff agrees
very
with me
true.
on that. Well, also then, sounds like you guys are on a little bit of the cutting edge with regard to technology. You're the webmaster, but you also deal with the software that makes all these claims and processes everything. How has technology changed over the last 5, 7, 10? You've been doing this for 20 years.
It has. In this particular industry, it's become very advanced, and we stay up to speed with everything that we can utilize. So we do pull aerial measurements, satellite imaging for homes, roofs. We have programs that we can actually produce 3D renderings of your home, so you can check out the colors, what it might look like on your house, to get a really good visual before you make your color selections on roofing or siding. Even if you wanted to paint your trim and whatnot, we can produce those renderings for you with those programs. But yeah, technology's great.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that is an opportunity for people if they have a certain color roof. When they've got the roof going to be replaced, they could change the color of the roof. Say I had a black or a gray roof, now I want to have a green roof, but you could give them a rendering, it'll show them what that would look like.
Yes, so they can have a really good visual of it.
Very cool. Jeff, how often you deal with the technology and the way it's impacted things?
Oh, I don't do too much with the technology. That's her job.
I got you.
I'm the field guy.
I got you.
No.
And you guys mess with drones at all, or what do you do to survey? And I guess you got now that satellites help you with that a lot
Yeah,
too.
we
Yes.
use the Eagle View and
A hover.
reports. But in some places you can't get those in. If there's too many trees and stuff, then it just has to be physically done. Majority of the time, I want to get on the roof myself anyway and inspect things. So, but there's some roofs that are just too steep. That just don't make sense when we can get on the satellite and
Right.
get the information we need, So sometimes we'll just do it that way. I mean,
Okay. But you like to do it the old-fashioned way, where you actually jump up on the roof, and if you have to, and then survey it that way. But
I
whatever it takes to get the job done.
yeah, I prefer that way. I think it's just it shows we're willing to put the work in,
Right.
versus just on the internet all the time, So,
Right.
The interwebs is going to save
Yeah.
the world, they say.
but it does make a difference on a tall roof or a steep roof. It makes sense to pull the hover report or the Eagle View, And the Eagle View is good because it will give us, it can tell us what all your windows are, how much siding you have, how much roofing you have, gutter you have.
Yeah, they've come a long way, and it's got very specific. So
Yeah, it's real close to the detail. To
Wow.
every
Okay, so
piece.
technology, big impact on a lot of the work that gets done with these things.
yes.
All right. Tell me a time then when you feel like you really helped somebody. I can imagine you've got hundreds of clients, not thousands of clients, but certainly, and I see all these reviews you guys have had. Take a look at the reviews, everybody. Tons of great reviews for JS and Sons Construction. But tell me a specific instance, if you can give me an example. If you each have one, or tell me a time you really felt like, wow, somebody got in a tough situation. Maybe the contractor didn't come through and you had to step in. Give me an example of something you really feel like you helped somebody.
Well,
I like to give back as much as I possibly can. We did a wheelchair ramp, I would say that it was a couple months ago.
Okay.
That, they didn't have the funds,
really?
and that's where I kind of stepped in and I said, hey, we're not going to charge her for this. And we're just going to go ahead and, do this.
Wow.
I think it's important though. I like to give back to the community that, gives back to us.
Sure.
So whatever, I support a lot of local events, a lot of different people within the community. I think it's very important.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, and having a father who had a stroke and was in a wheelchair for many years, the last 5 years of his life, really. And boy, it's tough to get around. And you got to get up to. So they have another house in Fayette that he grew up in, they still own, and they had to build a ramp, and that was quite the endeavor to put that ramp that goes up there. So you're talking about a pretty pricey endeavor here, if you will. But it's really helping somebody. And you can imagine somebody who's in a wheelchair. They've already got a lot to deal with. So you said, and you just paid for it. So we're going to do this for you for free and cover the cost for them entirely.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Absolutely. We recently did one in Coderville, Illinois, where they were out of power on part of their house, and it just had 4 bad breakers, but we had an electrician there, and he installed the 4 new breakers, and they didn't really have the funds, and they were going to offer payments, and I told them that if they could give us a good reference, we would just call it even. And they were very excited about that. So sometimes you can help do what you can to help each other out,
Well, I think that's so true, and it comes back around. You just give a little bit to your community. We're all pretty well tight-knit. Everybody knows everybody in our St. Louis area community, Metro East, St. Louis, and it's just do what's right, and things go your way. It seems like you guys have the right attitude.
You do good happens to you. It comes back.
Yes.
It definitely does. Like earlier you mentioned you didn't, anyway, they end up being your sponsor later.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't make us think about it, and in the end result, the good came back to you.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the way the world works sometimes. Yeah, I had a client that ended up coming back and sponsoring some stuff we did anyway. And it's just, everybody's got to make business decisions and see what works. And sometimes it doesn't go your way, but if you just keep on plugging, then it can often work out best for everybody.
That's exactly right. Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. I like that. Well, tell me the process. Somebody said, I'm absolutely sold. You guys sound like you're the right company for me. JS and Sons Construction, I want you to do the work. How does somebody get started with you guys?
Well, all estimates are free. It is free for us to come out. You simply call our office, or you can go online. We have a place on our website where you can schedule estimates for free if that's easier for you.
Okay.
But you can call our office directly to get that set up. We work around your schedule to make it convenient. And then from that point, we typically flip our estimates over between 48 and 72 hours later to get the ball rolling on things for you.
Okay. So it's a pretty straightforward process as a matter of getting this done. They just reach out to you. Phone call, form submission. I got the form on the wall here back for everybody to see. And they get started. And then Jeff will be deployed, go out there and say, let's take a look at what we've got here. He does his survey, processes the paperwork, sends it over to Lauren, and Lauren says, let me make sure that we get everything claimed on us because you are a licensed
Public adjuster.
All right, I appreciate that. Again, very important for what when you're dealing with. What does the average project go for? I mean, you guys can imagine anything from $2,000 for a smaller job might be a repair, but you're getting people that are spending $15,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000.
Yeah, average roof right now is between $15,000 and $20,000. So, I mean, it's a big investment, and it's one of the major components on your home. So you want to make sure that a quality installation is being done by people that have the correct credentials and are licensed to do so.
Very important, and don't want to cut corners when you're dealing with this kind of stuff.
No,
because the roof does affect just about everything else that goes on with the house, right?
It absolutely does.
Ventilation, water, it gets into the house, causes electrical damage. I mean, there's a number of problems that could.
Of things. There's many things in a house that you could call the heartbeat, but the roof is where it's at. If it leaks, everything else goes to pieces over time. If the water destroys everything, So if the roof isn't right, then
I think it's just as important as the foundation on your home, your roof and your foundation. You want to make sure those two things are, in good shape.
And saying that, that's a big thing a lot of people don't understand is gutters on their house. If you don't have gutters, that is how you ruin your foundation.
Okay.
The water creates a back pressure, that's like a hydraulic pressure.
Oh, wow.
And that's what causes the cracks in foundations or basements. A lot of times when somebody don't have no gutters, that happen, and gutter is a big thing on a home. You must have gutters.
Okay, so there's a whole system here, everybody, that you need to follow, because if it's designed this way for a couple centuries by now, the way we're building houses around this little country, and make sure you get it done right. JS and Sons Construction, they do a great job. I'm putting the title up there for everybody to see, and experts here. I just excited to have. I just didn't realize all of what you're bringing to the table for somebody, because to be a licensed public adjuster, I mean, boy, that makes a big difference when you're dealing with somebody.
It does.
How you're going to get this taken care of.
Well, you got your own adjuster going to bat for you. That's what makes it nice. I mean, it's just so nice. I love that she's licensed to do that, and that just makes a big difference in a lot of the stuff that we're doing, and for other people in the community, it helps out a lot. So, because nothing worse than an insurance company telling you no, when they owe it to you,
Sure.
And it happens. It happens a lot.
I can imagine. Yeah, I just want to emphasize that for everybody, because take note again, everyone. get somebody who's got somebody to fight on your side. Otherwise, you're just counting. They're going to count the numbers with their adjuster internally to make sure they get things covered for their side. That's what happened to me. I personally can speak to that. Tell me though, what was a challenge you've dealt with either throughout the business years you've been working, something that helped you to grow or upgrade or change or improve, or just another time when you helped a client where they were really in a difficult situation and you helped them come through a challenge. Life is all about the challenges you have and then how you overcome those challenges to improve.
COVID was difficult for everybody. Yeah. It really took a toll on everyone. It's also, so material prices continue to increase since COVID. It's probably every 4 or 6 months there's another increase in material. So honestly, the urgency to take care of your roof, if it is bad, it's up there, because we don't foresee these material increases to stop anytime soon. And typically it's about 6 to 10% each time the increases come, it's out of everybody's control. It's just the economy at this particular time. So
well, you do a few of those over a year or a couple of years, then 6 times 4, that's a 25%, 24% increase.
Yes. That
could really bump the price. So how often do people, that you said, get these repairs done? As another one I dealt with, a different situation, wasn't me this time, but they waited like a year and a half to get it done. And they'd already been through the neighborhood and everybody got the roof replaced. And then they came back and they said, hey, what about our roof? Should we get it looked at? And I said, nah. And just get these things taken, address them early on.
So from the date of a storm, and I would also say don't take storms lightly, because I've had so many customers, oh, well, my roof's not damaged. If you haven't been up there to see, then you don't know if it's not damaged. So it's so important to just at least get the inspection. The inspection is free, because what happens, say you have hail that comes through and it strikes your shingles, even though it compromises the integrity of your shingle. So you might not have a leak today, you might not have one in 6 months or even a year, but say 5 years down the line, you just had a new roof put on 5 years prior. 5 years down the line, your roof is leaking everywhere because of that hailstorm that came through 5 years ago that we didn't file an insurance claim on. Now you are coming out of pocket for a new roof when the insurance company should have paid for it because it was due to storm damage. So I think it's definitely important to not take storm damage lightly and make sure that you do have an inspection done to see if your home was affected by it.
Very important, yeah, because if you put these things off, then it could end up a situation not covered. Or who wants to go foot the bill for a $15,000, $20,000 roof if they had just made the claim early when it was relevant and insurance
could have been right, could have got it covered.
Jeff, Absolutely. Is this something you see a lot?
It happens. I mean, what happens is a lot is people not knowing if they have the damage, like she said, because maybe it didn't storm too bad, or maybe it did, but unless you have somebody out to do the inspection, you just don't know. You don't know if your flashing got tore loose somewhere, or you're missing the shingle, or you got hail damage. It's a good idea if you have a storm in your neighborhood, just call anybody really and get an inspection. I mean, it doesn't have to be us. You just, for your own good, you need to have it inspected. I mean,
very important, yeah. These inspections are critical because that's when you really get to analyze this. And like I said, why wouldn't you want somebody to at least analyze potential issues, especially somebody who's a certified public adjuster, licensed public adjuster, because then you can really analyze this to say, here's the real costs that are going to be involved with this and what you're going to have to do to get this repair done. And you can say at that point, okay, that's not something I want to take on, but at least you know.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, then tell me, what's a major objection? If somebody's dealing with, and I guess when it's insurance, it's fairly straightforward, but is there anybody who says, this is going to be covered by insurance, but I don't want to get the repair done? Does that happen?
I think a lot of people are fearful that their rates are going to go up, and storm work is classified as an act of God, per policy. So your rates are not going to go up due to a storm coming through and damaging your home. Sometimes you'll see, there was lots of storm damage in one area. Maybe eventually the whole zip codes, rates will go up, but then you didn't get your roof done and now your rates are going up anyways. So it's important to not let that affect your decision.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times the rates are going to go up regardless. So why didn't you get that claim done when you had damage? So
yes, all your neighbors and friends got new roofs and now you're having to pay out of pocket for one because you didn't file the claim because you were fearful that your insurance rate was going to go up.
Okay. And then how often is that the case? But I'd say outside of insurance, though, how often does somebody say, I need a new roof? It's obvious. There's no insurance claim then to take care of this. what are the objections people have? Is it usually price, or do you have to help them understand the integrity of the house that's at stake? What's going on in somebody's mind?
I think a lot of times it can be price.
It is price, but we offered extremely good products. So we try to get around that by doing a presentation of our product to just kind of explain that, like the Orange Corning is a lifetime shingle. It's a limited lifetime shingle, but it is a lifetime.
Okay.
So in 10 years it depreciates 80%. In 30 years it's at 40%. Now your standard 3-dimensional shingle is a 30-year shingle. So it's done. But in with the Orange Corning shingle, after your 30 years, you still have a 40% warranty on it. So if it was have a default, even after it's 30 years, you still could claim back some funds on the new roof from the shingle company itself.
Okay, very important. As a matter of, and just to try and reduce costs, understanding we've got experts that help you adjust and deal with all of the variables here, because if every dime, even if it's only $1,000, $2,000 that you could save somebody, it's definitely worth that.
Right, and the standard shingle is it's more like asphalt and fiberglass mixture, and you can rip the nails through that. Again, the Orange Corning has the Sure Nail strip, and it's like a felt strip that is, it's applied to it, and it's tough. You're gonna pull that off there. You're gonna have to pull. It's a very tough shingle to get off the roof. So it's got great wind protection. Was 130, I think. 130.
On the wind rating.
Yeah, wind rating of 130 on it. So again, we just offer really good products. So that's how we try to get around the objections of the cost. But cost is most of the time the biggest thing once we retail. And I get it. It's a lot of money because roofs nowadays aren't like they used to be. I mean, it's like she said, $15,000 to $20,000 is your average roofing to get a roof done. So definitely understand.
With the material increases, the prices are going to continue to rise. So if cost, is a concern, it's better to get it done now than later, to wait for the prices to continue to rise. Because unfortunately, those material costs will come, and it eventually trickles down to the consumer.
Very important. Okay.
Yes, I was looking for the one we got. I was going to.
Okay. Well, I want to tell you, you guys do a lot to help the community too. So I always ask the question: what do you feel like you do most to contribute to the community? And we put up on the about page. I've got on the wall behind us, everybody here. I'm going to put this for everybody to see. Lots of fun stuff here. Dollar Swim Day. You've got your Calm Well, and then you also do the rodeo. Tell me a little bit about what people you do to help your community feel.
I think that it's important to give back to those, that utilize our business. I think that sponsoring all the local events is something that we're big on. So we like to do the local events, the Sparta Athletic Association, the rodeo, the dollar pool days, things that the kids enjoy, things that you guys can enjoy as a family to do, because family time is important. So things that we can give back that are enjoyable for others in the community is important to us.
Well, I'll put the hat on for that, because if you get the rodeo, maybe the cowboy can stop by and hang out with you for that event. Lots of great stuff. Awesome work J.S. and Sons Construction does here. Get a hold of my buddies Jeff and Lauren and have them come help you, because you want to make sure you get your roof fixed correctly and everything else that goes into that, siding, fascia, and hey, some drywall that might have got damaged too. Thanks everybody. Stay tuned. Giddy up.